How do you know a sound therapy practitioner is safe? In this episode, I dive into how to choose a sound therapy practitioner, and if you're a sound therapy practitioner yourself, how to be a safe practitioner.
You are listening to the Sound Therapy Network podcast, where we talk about all things sound healing. This podcast is for practitioners and clients who want to learn more about this magical healing modality.
You are listening to the Sound Therapy Network podcast. I am your host, Niajae, embodiment coach, owner of Bliss Wellness Studio in Tampa, Florida, and the creator of Somatic Sound Therapy. In this episode, we are going to dive into what safety looks like in the healing space. And first, I want to say safety is subjective. In my trauma-informed sound therapy practitioner certification, I teach about the different types of safety and what that looks like from person to person. In this episode, we're going to talk about two types of safety: physical safety and emotional safety. I am going to go over what physical safety looks like in a sound therapy session and what emotional safety looks like, and why this is important, why this is even a topic that I'm talking about on this podcast. Questions to ask yourself when you're choosing a sound therapy practitioner, and red flags to look out for. Our mission is to create more safety in the healing space, because true healing happens when we feel safe, and not just in our conscious mind, but safe in our nervous systems. Let's dive in. So first, we're going to talk about what physical safety looks like in the healing space. Now, if no one's directly being hurt, this may seem like a no-brainer, but there's a lot of nuances that I don't think people really take into consideration. For example, touching without consent. Consent is so important. Does the practitioner ask for consent before touching, even something so small as a hug? Asking, can I give you a hug, before just going in for a hug. And a hug is well-meaning. Like, who doesn't love hugs? I love hugs. Some people don't love hugs. Some people don't like being touched, especially post-COVID. People are a lot more cautious of their personal space. So asking is a sign of respect. Even if you know the person loves a good hug, still asking, because that says, I respect you and I respect your autonomy. Now, in a lot of sessions, yoga sessions, Reiki sessions, there is touch sometimes that is involved, like yoga and sound bath combos, if they're adjusting the client for a position in posture, or Reiki sometimes is hands-on, but asking for consent first. I went to a yoga sound bath combo, and they went around to each person and did like a little head temple massage, and then another person was at our feet, and they didn't ask for consent. And I'm someone where I'm very comfortable in my body. However, it still felt a little weird to me that they wouldn't ask for consent, because I didn't know they were coming around to massage my head and touch my feet. What I teach in my trauma-informed sound therapy practitioner certification is, we don't know who has experienced trauma. What if there was a woman in that session that has experienced physical abuse or sexual abuse, and having someone come around and touch you without your knowledge, without your consent, can trigger a person's nervous system. Even if it's supposed to be a healing touch, giving that person the option to opt out if they don't want to be touched that day. And so these little nuances determine if a session feels safe or if it doesn't. I didn't feel that session I attended was safe, but I know the difference in creating a safe container. I'm sure there were plenty of people in that session that had no idea. And so sometimes our nervous systems can feel a little activated, and we don't actually know why. This is why I wanted to address some of these things, because we can walk out of a session and just kind of feel like, that didn't feel right. That didn't feel good. I don't feel relaxed per se. And there's different layers to it. Sometimes we're working through our internal stuff, and sometimes the environment maybe activated something within us that didn't create safety. So these little nuances are big when it comes to our nervous systems truly feeling safe. So the next thing with physical safety is autonomy. Do you have choice in a session? Is the practitioner instructing you not to move, to keep your eyes closed? Do you have an option? I know when I first started attending sound baths as an attendee, the practitioner told us not to move, which created a rigidness in my body, and it felt uncomfortable versus relaxing. So what she said was, your body will try to resist the meditative state. And so if you have an itch, don't scratch it. But to me, with the modality that I teach, we don't want to suppress what our body is communicating to us. That's what society is doing and telling us, is to suppress our emotions. My belief is that we have to unlearn that and learn how to truly honor what our body is communicating to us. So if your body says, I have an itch, scratch that itch. If your body says this is uncomfortable or I need to adjust in a session. And I know that there are a lot of people that want their sound baths to be super quiet, and if you move, it's going to disrupt other people. But I'm someone where if you are uncomfortable, do not sit in discomfort the whole session because you're afraid of making a noise. So that's how we're programmed as a society, to suppress how we feel for the comfort of others. Now, obviously, I want everyone to have the best time possible, but if you are uncomfortable and you need to adjust and you need to move and you have an itch, or you have emotions flowing through your body and you may need to shake it off a little bit, give yourself that permission to do that. So do you feel you have autonomy for what you need in that session? If you feel rigid where you're like, oh my God, I can't move, that's not comfortable and healing and regulating for the nervous system. So the next thing in physical safety is your back to the door, or do you have visual control of the space? So a lot of clients are not going to feel comfortable having their back to the door. I was born in New York. We don't like having our back to the door. And also having a visual of where their purse is. I know that that's a big thing for some of my clients, especially the ones that are from New York or New Jersey. They want to know where their purse is. And so I know that there are some spaces where the cubby is in a different place, like a different room or a different place, but just these little details sometimes are really important in someone truly feeling comfortable. So we're not always able to accommodate every single thing, but the more we can accommodate these little nuances, the better our sessions will feel. And even if the client doesn't understand exactly why, we know why they're able to fully relax in a session, because we've done the trauma-informed training and we've done our due diligence. This episode is definitely for both clients to understand themselves and understand what a safe container looks like, and also for practitioners that are creating that safe container. So the next thing is being able to opt out of eye masks, certain positions, or breathwork intensities, or maybe a om or a chant, feeling like you don't have to do the things. And I know sometimes people don't want to be an outcast, so they'll join in even if they're not completely comfortable, but letting it be known that you do have a choice. You do have a choice. You have autonomy. You do have a choice. And so that's something that I like to say, even when it comes to the eye mask. I put an eye mask on every mat, but I always say totally optional if you choose to use it. You don't have to use it. And clients that have experienced trauma sometimes want to keep their eyes open. I've had a lot of clients that for the first 10 minutes wanted their eyes open because that is what they needed to feel safe. And so if that's the case and we're forcing them to wear an eye mask, they're not going to feel safe. And sometimes they won't say anything, they just won't come back. So making sure that we are doing our due diligence to stress the fact that they do have autonomy, they do have choice. The last thing I want to mention on physical safety is, does the practitioner explain what will happen in the session, especially if there's bowls on the body? I think that we can assume that if someone signs up for a somatic session, they know that a bowl is going to be on the body, but sometimes people don't know and they overlook that fact. And I know that there are things that have happened in sessions that I've attended as a client that I didn't know was coming. And it was a little like, whoa, whoa, didn't know that was going to happen. Like being sprayed in the face with like rose water, or touched with a feather, or, different things that happen in sessions that I never consented to. And so while I don't mind it, I also know that it's like a little like, like we don't want pings to a person's nervous system. We have to understand that society is overstimulated. We are massively overstimulated as a society. So any little ping to the nervous system is counterproductive to what we're trying to achieve in a sound therapy session, specifically the somatic sessions that are geared towards nervous system regulation. We want to eliminate as many pings to the nervous system as possible. So being mindful of things where if the client doesn't know it's coming, it can be a ping to the nervous system. It can activate the nervous system. Also, because we're so overstimulated, even if you tell clients, it still can be activating to the nervous system or overstimulating. So I'm very gentle with my activations when I have the bowls on the body. But if someone is on edge, even that slightest activation can still cause them to react a little bit. So imagine the harder activations, or using a mallet that is very loud or hard, and so it creates a more intense activation when the bowl is on the body. Imagine that. So even as subtle as I am in my sessions, I still notice that sometimes clients are on edge. So when I see things on social media, I'm like, oh my goodness, like people are doing this, people are even teaching this. So we have to be mindful of where we are these days. Now, maybe before COVID, maybe 10 years ago, before we had smartwatches and smartphones, it was fine. It was fine. But where our nervous systems are today, it's not fine. And I research the nervous system. I'm doing wellness scans and seeing where people are with all of their systems and how overstimulated people are, how EMF is impacting us, how the fast-paced society is actually impacting our physical body and also our mental health. So a lot of what I share is not to bash anyone, it's to say, hey, we have to take these things into consideration for nervous system safety in our society. So let's dive into emotional safety, which this is so important to me. I'm a huge advocate for practitioners building their emotional intelligence. What you want to look at when it comes to a practitioner that is emotionally safe, asking, are they controlling someone's journey? Or are they ignoring autonomy? Are they abusing their power? Are there energetic and emotional boundaries? And I think that this is huge, especially for Reiki practitioners. I've had Reiki practitioners that have come up to me, or energy healers that have come up to me and said, oh, I sense this thing in your energy field, or source or whoever said to tell you and give you this message. If I didn't ask, it feels like an energetic and spiritual boundary that you're reading anything in my energy field. It doesn't feel okay. So asking a person, are you comfortable with me tapping into your energy field? Are you comfortable with me sharing this thing with you? But coming up to someone who didn't ask and saying, oh, I felt called to share this thing with you, to me, that is a lack of spiritual and energetic etiquette. I think that there are people also who are preying on vulnerable people when they're in a vulnerable state. So let's just say a client is having a really hard day, going through a major transition in life, and then this energy healer is like, oh, I can tell that you are experiencing so and so, and this archangel told me to share this thing with you, and that person's in a vulnerable space, it can really do harm. And I know that a lot of times this is well meaning, but there are people that are abusing their power, abusing their gifts, taking advantage of vulnerable people. I believe there is a lack of spiritual and energetic etiquette these days, and there's nothing wrong with sharing your gifts or marketing or advertising your gifts, approaching people about your gifts, but it's how we do it. So it's not saying don't share this message that you downloaded. Don't share. I'm not saying don't share, but it's how you share, giving the person an option instead of saying, oh, I was sent to tell you X, Y, and Z, asking, can I share this thing with you? And if the person seems hesitant, because sometimes people will say yes because we're overcoming people pleasing in our society, especially women. Women are overcoming people pleasing. So a woman may say yes reluctantly because she doesn't want to say no. But if there's reluctance there or resistance there, honoring that person and not sharing, because just because we received a download doesn't mean we're meant to act on everything. And some of these may be unpopular beliefs. Some people may feel like, if I received this download, I'm meant to share it. Not always. We have to honor a person's journey. We can walk past someone that we sense something from, but it doesn't mean that we're meant to interfere with their process. Because I think discernment comes along with emotional intelligence. If we haven't done shadow work or inner child healing or leadership training to work on our emotional intelligence, sometimes we don't have that discernment. So we can have thoughts and feelings and feedback for people, but is it meant for us to share our feedback with everyone unsolicited? No. So asking a person, are you open to feedback? Are you in a space to receive feedback? And honoring what they say. If they say no, not feeling obligated to share it. So I think that some people think we're just meant to share every download we receive. We're not. Allowing people to ask us for feedback. What do you think? Allowing a person to ask, did you pick up on anything? What download did you receive? What did you hear or sense? What did you hear or sense? And then sharing. So that discernment and discipline, I think, is part of being an emotionally safe practitioner. And I know people don't talk about this, but it's so important. I know this may ruffle some feathers and it may be an unpopular opinion, but there is a lot of harm being done in the healing space. And so I'm addressing the elephant in the room and addressing some of the things that, if we want safe containers, consent and autonomy and spiritual energetic etiquette are a must, period. The next one when it comes to emotional safety is, do they honor your journey versus try to fix you? So this is another thing I talk about in my trauma-informed training. We're not fixing anyone. We are holding space for their healing. As practitioners, we are providing the tools, but we're not actually doing the healing. And I think there's a lot of ego-driven healing where sometimes practitioners will attach their self-worth to results, to the outcome. And I get it. So I've definitely been there where I wanted to know that I was making an impact in the world. I wanted to know that I was making a difference in people's lives. And it doesn't come from a bad or malicious place. It comes from working through our self-worth as practitioners, but doing that emotional intelligence work to ground into your self-worth regardless of what you're doing in the world. Because if we're dependent upon that, then that creates a little bit of a codependent connection with our clients, and that can be a very slippery slope. So one of the things that I believe is how we do one thing, we do most things. So if we have codependent connections in our personal lives, we tend to have codependent relationships with our clients. Even when it comes to therapists, like therapists can sometimes have codependent relationships. I don't think a person should be with the same therapist for 6, 7, 8 years or 10 years or something like that, because there reaches a point where the therapist has taken you as far as they can take you and then refer out to your next level of healing. Or you could have worked through enough and now you're just used to talking to this person, and so you're paying them to basically just talk to them, but you've worked through the things that you hire them to work through. There's definitely a lot of layers to this one, but ultimately the most important thing to take away is we're not here to fix anyone. And when we see someone as needing fixing, we're seeing them as broken rather than seeing them as a source of love, and we're holding space for their healing. So the next one with emotional safety is, do they use shame-based statements? You need to, instead of using compassionate language. So this is definitely something I teach as well, and it's so important. I was listening to a webinar from an energy healer, and she kept saying like, you need to do da 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 da, and you need to do da 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 da. And she's been in the healing space for, I think she said like 35 years or something like that. But it felt like my mom telling me what I need to do, right? And we don't want to feel like someone's scolding us and like this is a parent speaking down on us, you know? So knowing that we're not parenting anyone, we're not telling them what they need to do, because most of the people that come to us are adults, unless you're working with children, but that's its own nuance. So we're not parenting anyone. We're not controlling anyone. We're not telling anyone what they need to do. And often when you start a sentence with you need to or you should, that creates resistance. It's also controlling and not truly honoring a person's journey. So one of the things that I teach is compassionate language. So rather than saying you need to do a sound bath once a week, I say, studies have shown if you do a sound bath once a week, it helps repair the nervous system. That feels so different than saying you need to do a sound bath once a week if you want to prevent burnout, right? Like, two totally different vibes and energies. Are we mindful of our language? Are we mindful of how we're showing up in our practice? And when you are a client choosing a practitioner, do you feel like it's a parent scolding you? Or do you feel like this is someone that's creating a nurturing space for your healing? The next one, and this one is so important and so nuanced. Do they understand the difference between accountability and shaming? Now, this one, again, requires a lot of self-awareness for practitioners to be able to understand. What I hear often, I hear this so many times. If I had $1 for every time I hear this, a client will share with a practitioner, oh, the sound bowls were really loud. And the practitioner will say, it's because your chakras are not aligned. It's because that chakra was blocked. What that does is it puts the blame on the client. What that does is pathologizes the client and says, you're the problem. So what I recommend is getting curious, asking questions. Did it hurt your ears? Or did you feel a sensation in your body? Tell me more, say more, explain it to me. Like, give me some details. Like, what did it feel like? Because that allows the practitioner to understand what was actually happening when they get curious, rather than just saying, you're the problem, your chakras are blocked. What if the practitioner was actually playing too loud? What if it hurt the client's ears versus they felt a sensation in their body because it was moving energy in that chakra? So we have to get curious. So if your practitioner automatically makes you feel like you're the problem, your chakras are blocked, it's you, that doesn't feel safe. That creates shame. And shame is the opposite of what we want clients to feel. So getting curious, asking questions, and creating a safe space for that feedback. If a practitioner seems defensive when you provide that feedback, that doesn't create safety. The next one is, do they respect your pace rather than pushing? So we definitely live in a microwave society. So this one has layers because sometimes clients want to go faster because they want that quick fix. They want it to be done and over with, right? Am I healed? I've had clients do like one session, like, am I healed? We live in that society, but I like to focus on honoring a person's nervous system. Sometimes practitioners will want to provide a super intense and powerful session. We also live in a society that does like ayahuasca and different ceremonies where they're trying to do years and decades of healing in one ceremony. I'm more pro safe for the nervous system. Is this safe for the nervous system? Because if we regulate our nervous system, the healing will happen organically. As we create safety in the body and the mind will start to reveal more pieces of the puzzle that will support us on our healing journey. We don't have to force these years of healing into one ceremony. Now, for people that are called to ayahuasca or the different types of healings that they have out there, there's so many things out there right now where people are doing a lot of healing in one ceremony. And if you're feeling called, by all means, but the thing that I invite people to ask is this safe for my nervous system? When you regulate your nervous system in a gentle way at a pace that's safe, our bodies, our minds will reveal that next layer for us, like peel that next layer back, and it could be done in a gentle way. Now, when someone has severe trauma, like maybe they just want to dive in, as long as it's done with a quality professional that can take you through the integration process, like that is really important. Because if you are in a toxic environment and you want to do this healing, but you have to go right back into that toxic environment, that is going to be detrimental to your mental health and your nervous system. So making sure that whatever route you take, it's done in a way that is safe for the nervous system. The last thing I want to talk about when it comes to emotional safety is, do they project their beliefs or do they allow you to interpret your own healing experience? Now, this one is huge. So what I would like to see is more practitioners guiding clients to trust themselves, trust their own intuition, rather than needing the healer or the energy worker or the Reiki practitioner to make sense of things, because that is seeking the answers outside of themselves. So what I like to do for clients is invite them to tune in themselves. What did you feel? Did you notice a difference on the left or right side of your body? Did anything come up for you? And not projecting my thoughts onto them without them asking. Sometimes clients will ask, like, did anything come up? Like, did you hear something or sense something? But if they don't ask, sometimes I don't share. And I think when it comes to trauma-informed training, it teaches you to have discernment of when to share, when not to share. It's not always meant for us to share everything that we pick up on. That discernment is, I think, what separates a practitioner that honors a client's journey versus one that tries to control their journey. And I talk about this in the training, power over versus power with. Does the practitioner want you to need them? Do they want you to trust their intuition, or are they empowering you to trust your own intuition? There's a difference. And there's definitely a difference between a guru, a leader, and a trauma-informed leader. The guru says, do as I say. The leader says, do as I do. The trauma-informed leader says, let me show you how I did what I did to inspire you, and I'll hold space for you as you explore your own path. There's a difference. If you're a client trying to figure out who you want to work with, do you want to work with a guru who is basically saying, do as I say, but they may not be practicing what they preach. They may not be living what they're teaching. And then leaders, they've done it. They've walked the path, right? Like, you know that they've walked the path, but saying do as I do, maybe your path is a little different. It's not a one size fits all. Healing is not linear. So the trauma-informed leader is like, this is how I did what I did, right? Learn from what I've experienced and then create your own path, honor your own journey. It doesn't have to look exactly like mine. I don't have to guide you in the exact way that I did it, but take what I've learned and apply it where you see fit. I think that there's nuances between these, and we have a lot of programming in our society where people in power are controlling the narrative rather than allowing people to really connect to the core of their being, understand their needs and desires, and then creating that pathway that feels aligned to them. So my mission with my training is to create trauma-informed leaders. It's not people that are trying to control other people's journey. It's not people that are trying to feed their ego by having the biggest transformation in their clients. Like, yes, transformation happens, but how many people are you helping feel safe in your body? How many people are you helping trust themselves again and not trust you and need to come to you, but trust themselves, but they have gratitude for you for the tools that you provided? There's a difference. And I remember in some trainings where practitioners said things like, oh, once someone comes to me, they'll never go to anyone else. We don't want that. Most of the time, one person is not meant to guide you through your whole entire journey. A person grows and transforms, and then they go to the next person that's supposed to support them in the next layer of their journey. An emotionally safe practitioner knows when to refer out, and they're not trying to be everything to their clients. They're staying in their scope of work, which I'll get to in a second. So why is this important? This is important because the systems are crumbling. The old paradigm is crumbling. The shadows are being exposed. We know now where people have been abusing their power. And so with this happening in our world, in our society, we don't want to replicate those dynamics in a space that's supposed to be safe. We don't want to control people in a healing space. We don't want to shame people in a healing space, because it actually does more harm. When we're out in the world, we know life, society is not safe right now. But when we go into spaces that are supposed to be safe and it replicates some of those same dynamics, it's even more harmful, because then the person feels hopeless. They feel despair. They feel like no place is safe anywhere if the safe spaces are not even safe. This is why it's important for me to touch on this, because what I find is a lot of practitioners are like, oh, I'm already certified. I don't need to get certified. But these are very important things to understand if you're doing this type of work. And for clients that are trying to find a good sound bath that feels nurturing and safe and regulating for their nervous system, these are little things that maybe you never thought to think about. So, some questions to ask yourself when choosing a practitioner: do they practice what they preach? Do they prioritize their own self-care? Do they set boundaries? Business boundaries are so important. So knowing that the practitioner values boundaries and self-care in their own life will definitely reflect in their practice. Do they get defensive when you ask questions or give feedback? Again, this is a huge one. So are they open to feedback? If they're not, if they get defensive and you don't feel comfortable coming to them with feedback, that's not going to feel safe for your nervous system. Do they seem grounded or chaotic, drained, resentful, or dysregulated? Now, this one is tricky because we are human, so we all have our days, but overall, does their energy feel grounded or does it feel chaotic? Does it feel performative? Does it feel resentful? There are practitioners that have a certain bitterness towards the world or towards the space, and I think we all go through it. So when the wool is removed from our eyes, sometimes we look at the world and we're like, ew. I think we've all gone through that. So I think also knowing where the practitioner is on their journey that you're going to, and I think where the individual is, like where the client is on their journey, makes a difference too. So if they're just starting out, some of these things may not be as noticeable, but if you've been on a healing journey for a while, you may want a practitioner that is more grounded because that's what you need for your next level of healing. And that's why I say most of the time we don't stick with the same person through our whole entire journey. Different levels of our journey requires different containers, and that's okay. And so even for practitioners, if a client doesn't continue coming to you, like, that's okay. Wanting what's best for their next level, to me, that is emotional safety. Kara says hi. Okay, if you're a practitioner that's feeling burnt out, making sure that you're receiving healing as well, because it's really hard to hold space for other people's repair and regulation if you are not focused on your own repair and regulation. That leads to resentment, and resentment leads to actual burnout. The next one is, are they aware of their scope of practice? So I mentioned this a little bit, but one of the things that I teach in my training is a term that I call scope creep. So scope creep, knowing your scope of work and staying in that lane and not trying to creep out of it. So if someone is coming to you with something that is beyond your scope of work, knowing when to refer out, that is so important. We can't be everything to everyone. That's another huge one. I know I shared a lot in this episode, but the biggest thing that I want you to take away from all of this, when picking a practitioner, choosing someone who feels like they honor your journey. They honor your process. They honor your pace. They honor your autonomy. To me, that is a sign of respect. And I think when you feel a person respects you, that's when the true healing happens. That's when the container truly feels safe and nurturing and you feel held. So that's the biggest thing. Knowing that you have choice in a session, knowing that there's openness and you can share feedback and the person will not get defensive. And I know sometimes people are people pleasers and they want to avoid conflict. They don't like uncomfortable conversations, but an emotionally safe practitioner will help build that comfort. And that's part of being trauma informed, is understanding what creates that comfort for people to be able to share feedback, be able to share their preferences and share their boundaries and share their needs and desires. So just to reiterate the red flags. So some red flags are touching without consent, language that shames or belittles, that teacher superior tone or hierarchy. So knowing the difference between power over versus power with. So are they saying you need to do da 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 da, or are they sharing data and research. So studies have shown if you attend a sound bath once a week, it can help repair and recover from burnout, versus you need to do this because stress is blah, 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 blah. That energy doesn't create safety and comfort and nurturing. It feels like you're being scolded or talked at, and no one really wants that. Another red flag is rigid rules. You have to do things this way, don't move. So if someone's telling you not to move, to me, that's a red flag, because as the vibration is going through our body, we may want to move. Our body is telling us to do something. And if we're being told not to move, we're being taught to go against our bodies. And that's the opposite of what somatic healing and sound therapy should be. It should be honoring our body, listening to our body, connecting to our body, respecting our body. So definitely a red flag for me. And then over promising outcomes. So if someone's telling you, if you attend this many sessions, it's going to heal X, Y, and Z, we can't promise that to anyone. I know that I talk about the nervous system repairing over a certain length of time. My research says that our nervous system repairs in 8 months, and that's consistent self-care. That is a moderate amount of stress. So if you're someone who has high stress or a super demanding life, you're not consistent with your self-care, it may take way longer than 8 months. So I can't guarantee anything. And even the big companies, they say results may vary, so we can't promise anything to anyone. So making sure that we're not over promising anything to our clients. And then lack of transparency around training. Now, there are some sound therapy certifications that are like $37. So when someone says, I'm a certified sound therapy practitioner, really doing a little bit of due diligence to see where they're certified from, because not all sound therapy trainings are the same, and understanding the values of the person that they were certified by. I value safety. I value consent. I value autonomy. Not all of the places that are certifying people think about these things. And so when it comes to safety, I've seen trainings where they have a crystal singing bowl at the base of the massage table, which is a safety hazard. If the client, moves his foot and kicks the bowl off of the massage table, the crystal bowl will crack, and that's a safety hazard. That's like glass on the floor. Then I've also seen Himalayan bowls between the legs. Now, we're realizing how many women have suffered, and not just women, honestly, men as well, how many people have suffered sexual trauma. So having the legs open and a bowl in between the legs, to me, is not trauma informed. And so when someone says, I'm certified, it doesn't mean that it was a quality certification that prioritizes safety. This is why trauma-informed training matters. I know that a lot of people are doing sound baths these days. It seems like there's a sound bath on every corner now, and making sure that you do a little bit of research on the practitioner, if they're certified, where they got certified by, and what they truly value. Do they truly value safety, autonomy, consent? These are important things, because if you're really going on your healing journey, you want to make sure that you're in a space that feels safe for your nervous system. I hope this was helpful. Share this episode with someone that will also find value in it. If you are a practitioner that has interest in our trainings, we have our trauma-informed sound therapy practitioner certification, which I feel every practitioner that is doing sound therapy on a professional level, if you're working with clients that are paying you, I think this is so important to have. And that's our first level. And if you're ready to dive completely in with the trauma-informed training, the somatic training, and business support, you can enroll in our somatic sound therapy practitioner certification and mentorship that provides the business support, and I'm working with you directly to build your practice. You can go to soundtherapynetwork.com for more information on that. And until next time, wishing you healing and harmony.
Thank you so much for listening to the Sound Therapy Network podcast. Edgar Cayce says, sound is the medicine of the future. The future is now. By listening and sharing this podcast, you are contributing to the wave of healing in the world and safety in the healing space.